Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the G1 Dallas post-show recap right here on Fightful. I'm Mr. Warren Hayes, and I will be accompanying you this evening. Sean is not here. Sean is taking care of some mixed martial arts business on the other channel. So you're stuck with me tonight, folks. But man, I mean, even if I am the guy who's going to be piloting this, we had a fantastic show tonight. I can't wait to talk about it. I want to thank you all for being here on Fightful. You know, if you want to help out right now, a good thing, fantastic thing to do would be to go ahead and like the video, give it a thumbs up, and also share the link out. So get more people in here. Let's just spread the word of Fightful everywhere. Right. And I'm sure that you've been to Fightful.com before, and perhaps you even know that Fightful Select is the perfect way to support Fightful. You get all sorts of extra content, members-only podcasts. I do stuff over there. I do an NXT 205 Live NXT UK recap show every week. You have Sean, who does an extra podcast there as well. Steven Jensen, who does The Weekender, where he covers non-WWE programming. You have retro reviews, Q&A sessions. Fightful Select, check that out. It's the best way to support Fightful. And because the Fightful family keeps growing, we keep adding many things and many people as much as possible, such as tonight, we have a new face to the Fightful crew, and it is a gentleman that I know very well. It is Jonathan Pilquist, JPQ, also known as Big Paws on a Pup, the man who has way too many nicknames. He is also the host of the No Particular Angle podcast and also a big New Japan fan and connoisseur. And I'm very happy that he is with me this evening. John, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Excited. This was a show for the record books. People just getting into New Japan, they hit it out of the park tonight. I'm excited to talk about it with you, Warren. I appreciate you bringing me on, and I appreciate that Fightful, gave me a shot here. So let's see how we do.
The shot was easy to give because John, you always have fantastic insights, and I can't wait to talk about it. The G1, first time starting off first time ever in the United States, and starting off tonight in Dallas at the American Airlines Center. Look, let's talk about this. Let's just get this out of the way straight off the bat, John. It's a 20,000 seat arena. They evaluate at 19,200 people for basketball, 18,000 for hockey games. There were a lot of empty seats in the arena tonight. And I'm not just talking about the parts that they should have tarped off right next to the on either side of the entrance ramp, correct?
Correct. Yeah. There was a big open gray space on either side. I will tell you this, very ambitious come Wrestle Kingdom last year, where they announced Dallas and they were going to do it in American Airlines Arena. And they were really going to play off the interest that people had coming to New Japan in 2019. Didn't pan out for them as much as we thought they would from a ticket selling perspective, but I'll give the crowd this. They came ready to support the wrestlers, whether it was spacious or a big arena or how you felt over the television. It came across like this crowd was alive. They were smart fans. They knew when to boo. They knew when to cheer. They knew the spots. They knew the wrestlers.
Oh, yeah.
And anytime you're going to get that in a ring, I don't care if they're just small, rabid fans or you have 20,000 people, you're in for a good show when the crowd knows what they're doing, and they knew what they were doing tonight.
The crowd was indeed hot for this. They were ready. This is what they were waiting for. I mean, it's not as if there was only 500 people. It wasn't like at Super Clash, AWA Super Clash 3, where there was 1,200 people in a 19,000 seat arena. By the way, FightfulSelect.com, if you want to check it out, that retro review that Sean and I did, AWA Super Clash 3, it's a keeper. But yeah, I mean, the crowd was super hot throughout the evening. And man, were they hot for the main event. We'll talk about that later, though. I'm getting ahead of myself. Another thing that we learned tonight, Fighting Spirit Unleashed is coming to the East Coast, our neck of the woods, John. September 27 to 29, going to Boston, New York, and Philadelphia. They're playing it maybe a little safer, smaller venues.
Yes.
The Lowell Memorial in Boston is about 2,800 people. Hammerstein is what, 2,200, 23, something
That's
like
fair.
that.
Yeah, about 23.
And the 2,300 arena, formerly known as the ECW arena, that's like 50 people.
Yeah. It's like 1,000, maybe on a good day.
Maybe 1,200 to 1,300 at the
Sunday
most.
show, 5 o'clock. You know.
So I mean, it's interesting that they're coming over. For that. I mean, it's a good sign, and I think that I don't know what you think, but the smaller venues is a good idea.
Yeah, I think they're learning from their mistakes. They're going to test the market before they go grand scale with it. I think it was smart. I like that they're doing a tour of Fighting Spirit in these 3 places. Northeast is a hotbed for New Japan Pro Wrestling. As much as I watch a tremendous amount of wrestling, and again, the Boston market always does well with WWE. New York, obviously, Philly's always been a wrestling hotbed. But for them to be able to run this circuit over the course of a weekend in small venues and get, the fans that have been dying for the East Coast run, finally, from New Japan Pro Wrestling, which I think is like the first time outside of New York WrestleMania weekend, it's like the first time in like 7 years they've run the East Coast. This is going to be a treat for everybody who lives in that area, and I will be going.
Well, yeah, because you hang around them Philadelphia parts. I'm actually thinking of driving to Boston. We'll see what happens. We have time to plan, but then there's not a lot of tickets, so we won't have that much time.
Yeah, 3 weeks, pal.
There you go. Let's get right into it. Let's start talking about these matches. First match that we got this evening, we had the Gorillas of Destiny, the IWGP Tag Team Champions, defeating, Roppongi 3K. There's an argument to be made, John, that the tag team divisions in New Japan should be combined. Like, just drop the weight classes, because there's not that many tag teams to begin with, and it's always kind of the same matches then within the divisions. I thought it was kind of fun to see JOD versus Yo and Show. But and to me, it's just an extra argument towards a merger of those 2 divisions. I don't know what you think about it.
Yeah, I would be okay with it. I like junior tag, and conversely, I like the heavyweight tag scene when it's fleshed out a little bit more, which they've been lacking all year. There hasn't been an investment. Shocker in a wrestling promotion, but there hasn't been an investment in tag team wrestling the way it normally is in New Japan. GOD, we know we're going to get with them. To see Show and Yo in there against them once again, totally fine with it. Totally fine with them leading the show. It's a good way to get them a check early. Kind of got the crowd into it. We knew if you're accustomed to watching New Japan, you're usually looking for what match 2 ended up being, like young lions early, maybe some New Japan dads coming in, and you let them mix it up and kind of warm up the crowd. Now, they came out guns a-blazing. You knew this was a special event. You knew you needed to get the tag teams on the card because you can't have it without, Show and Yo, Roppongi 3K, and GOD. So opening with that short match, 6.5 minutes tops, somewhere in that range. And they went out there and they did what they do best. And they worked really, really, really well together. And I was excited to see what they did. I would have been okay with 10 minutes total. I thought they would have deserved. I mean, you just literally came across the Pacific. But either way, I thought GOD played great to the crowd. I thought they showed in a high production value where you didn't really know what you were going to see right off the bat, that they did a smart thing, kind of getting the crowd invested early, kind of hyping them up a bit, got out of there with a cheap win, and off we go.
There's actually, it was for the time that they had I thought both teams worked really, really well together. There was some quick offense by Roppongi 3K that they dumped the Gorillas to the outside, and followed by that was immediately followed by stereo or semi-stereo Topic on Helos by Yo and Show. The GOD get in control as Tama distracts, and Tongaloa lariats the hell out of our Roppongi boys. Tongaloa hits a beautiful slingshot senton, but the crowd is clearly behind Roppongi 3K. Like we said, the audience was really hot, and I think they were really excited just to get some wrestling going. And starting off with this was a really, really good idea, as you pointed out. The Roppongi boys hit the backstabber into the Yakuza kick. Tama hits a stun gun out of nowhere they follow it up with the super power bomb, and that is that. Gorillas of Destiny come out on top here. Just as an interesting note, I still think it's fascinating that New Japan, that they're still pushing Roppongi as a team, especially considering all the buzz that came out of shows, really, really great showing during the Best of the Super Juniors tournament. How long do you think Roppongi have, John, before it's lights out?
Yeah, if you would have asked me a year ago, I would have told you we're coming up on about 6 months from now. Knowing how thin that tag team division is on both sides, I don't think you have a chance to move them. Plus, you really are backlogged with amazing talent, both in the mid card as well as in the main event scene, and a lot of big signings this year. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see them hang on to a tag team at least through G1 of next year.
Tim Traver gave us a super chat, and he basically says, Mr. Warren Hayes, I want to bless you, my friend. Thank you very much, Tim. If you guys want to drop a super chat, I will read it out loud, your question, your comment, and especially if you have questions for John. John knows his stuff when it comes to New Japan. I would have used another word, but we got to watch our language. Otherwise, YouTube is going to... Well, Sean's going to get mad at me because we're going to get another video demonetized. So we're just going to play it safe.
Another one.
Another one. But thank you for the super chat, Tim. Next, we had Jeff Cobb and Ren Narita defeating never openweight champion Tomohiro Ishii, my favorite wrestler, probably, and Shota Umino. This was a lot of fun. Cobb and Ishii go at it immediately. Cobb standing up to Ishii's offense, who early on starts selling Cobb's strikes, which was really, really cool. Cobb hits a drop kick, and as he's showboating, he doesn't realize that Ishii completely no-sold the drop kick. So there's a really fun exchange here to start. Narita and Shota get in, and Narita gets a shoulder block, and Umino with a high-speed basement drop kick follows. Narita starts eating some Ishii chops that can never feel good. He tries to fight back, but Ishii is immobile. Like, he's not even, it's not just no-selling. He's I guess that's why they call him the Stone Pitbull, because he just was not moving. Cobb comes in after a while, and he hits some release belly-to-belly suplexes on both Ishii and Umino. Ishii and Cobb go all strong style on each other until Ishii Germans Cobb. Umino comes in afterwards with a missile drop kick, tries to suplex Cobb, but he can't. He wears him down and finally pulls it off. We head towards the end here when Cobb hits a standing moonsault and the Tour of Islands on Umino for the win. And then afterwards, Ishii and Cobb go at it, and man, they are ready for their match on Saturday. Got to tell you, John, this is the kind of wrestling storytelling that I like, where you just let two guys get in the ring and just let the action set the story. I could not be more excited to see Ishii and Cobb go at it for like the third time in their history, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they're on number 3. And to your point, you don't need much, right? That's the nice thing about the G1. You don't need much. You know that they're going to go after each other. You know there's a history there. So just let them go in there and slug it out post-match. Like, all too often, people get too creative, right? Because they don't think that type of storytelling works anymore. But that's all we want. Very simple story. Let us follow it, whether you're brand new or you've been watching for years. This is a great way to get people invested into next Saturday's match between the two, right? This is why people should be paying attention. If you're going to commit to the G1 this year, and I strongly recommend everybody does, this is the best time of the year, right? It's Christmas for wrestling fans, is the G1. If you're going to invest in it, I would recommend that you watch these types of matches prior to the block matches that come later on the card, because you will get nuance in storylines being told over the course of the entire month. And then you'll get payoffs along the way, and then bigger stories will be set up for the back 6 months. Cobb obviously is coming on a short tour. He does great in Texas. I don't know what it is about him and San Antonio and Houston and Dallas, but he always seems to be able to sell tickets. And I think it was a smart move by New Japan bringing him in for this tournament. I think it was a smart move for them putting him in Block B so that he could represent on the undercard here and kind of get the traction moving. Anytime you see the Tour of the Islands, I mean, come on, it's the best finisher. You know, it's anytime you see a super hefty weight go out there and be able to pull a move like that, I'm a fan. And, you know, we saw a good storytelling from them. On top of that, we got to see Umino and exactly what he's going to be in the future. I swear he's put on 5 pounds.
Yeah, he has been getting bigger, right?
He's getting bigger. Yeah, he is an absolute bona fide stud. He's going to continue to be. I don't think he's going to go on excursion. They don't do this very often, but I swear Ren Narita will go off at some point. He will go find his chops in CMLL or maybe Impact, depending on what Impact ends up doing with Access now. But Shota, on the other hand, he should stick around and he should be able to begin to be built. And we're going to see him very shortly beginning to beat the likes of like a Toa Hanare and some of these undercard people to get some notches underneath his belt. And it's going to be very exciting when we do.
Next, we had, Hiroki Goto and Yoshihashi, my least favorite wrestler, defeating Jay White and Chase Owens. There's some stalling from the heels at first, and it ends up with White blindsiding Goto. But Goto fights back and crushes Owens with a forearm. Yoshihashi comes in, starts laying in some chops. I will give him that. They stung. I got to tell you, John, you know, anyone who follows what I do over on youtube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes, or even on Twitter at Mr. Warren Hayes, plug, know that I like to refer to Yoshihashi as Yoshi Trashy. And it's not a term of endearment. I don't like him. But as far as commentary goes here, you know, this is not the first time that we hear them. They were boosting it again tonight, talking about how he's a hard worker. He has heart. He has talent, but he can't get it together. John, we've been watching New Japan for a while. This is the story that they've been carrying with Yoshihashi for such a long time now. At some point, when is it not going to be, oh, he can't get it together? When is he going to get it together, John?
He's not going to get it together.
What?
It's not going to happen. He is there to put people over. He is there to take the pin. He is there to allow, because again, he's very good at match layouts. Like he's a great fill-in tag team partner. He meshes well with everybody. He's wrestled everybody on that roster for multiple years. His chemistry in the ring is great, right? What he can't do is carry a storyline. Right? He can't do there's nothing marketable about the guy. I mean, the guy's name is Yoshihashi for a reason, right? Because of all that, he's always going to be a second tier faction player. And when that happens, you know, a lot like where we feel Taichi should be, but it's really where Taka is, right? It's an opportunity for him to get in the ring, mix it up, do some nice things, good transitions, get a win every once in a while. It's a feel good, right? But his job is to get other people over. And that's what he's pegged into doing, is why he keeps re-signing with New Japan, and it's why New Japan sees so much value in him, is because he is a no ego guy. He is a workman. He is a guy that goes in there, punches in, takes the beating, punches out every single day. He's the Bob Holly of New Japan Pro Wrestling. I'm excited for you know, what they did in this match, but I'm never excited to see Yoshihashi. So
well, there you go.
Yeah,
the jewel heist isn't enough to keep Goto down. Jay White hits a twisting brainbuster, followed by flying knees by Chase Owens, who covers Goto, but Yoshihashi breaks up the pin, and it all comes to an end. And it all comes to an end when Goto hits the Ushigoroshi and the GTR on Chase Owens, who was obviously there to take the pin.
Yes.
So that was that. Fun little match, and you know, I have to say, Goto showed a lot of fire. I don't know if it's just because he's they're playing up his match against Jay White, and he wants to just give it a little extra oomph. But I thought he looked good.
Yeah, Goto is working his way back, right? I'll tell you that, and I put this on Twitter as well. He's just knocking the rust off, right? He's been out for the game for a little while. He's coming back. He's he was working on a lot of transitions. If you watch the match and you watch it again, you can see there was a lot of different spots where he was pausing. I don't know if he was asking questions or if he was thinking out loud, but he was taking his time in the ring, and he's usually more fluid than that. So I would expect that as we progress through this tournament, you're going to see the old Goto come back. Yes, he's hyping him versus Jay. I think that's smart. Goto is someone that usually averages somewhere in the 8 to 12 range, high 9s, 10s over the course of his career. I wouldn't be surprised if he can knock off Jay early. Either way, you should expect decent performances out of Goto through this entire thing. I mean, he's a legend in New Japan as it is, and I wouldn't be surprised if he walks away with 4 or 5 wins.
Jushin Thunder Liger, Juice Robinson, and Toru Yano defeated Bushi, Shingo Tagaki, and IWGP Intercontinental Champion Tetsuya Naito. Did you realize that due to his trip to North America or the United States, Toru Yano is established himself as an ambassador, a tourist ambassador for the city of Noboribetsu. Did you know that, John?
I did not know.
That's why he was wearing the sash. He's an ambassador. Now, did you know that Noboribetsu is renowned for its hot springs? In fact, there is an area called Jigokundani, also known as Hell Valley. It's a beautiful valley that is said to be the gateway to hell. This is possibly because of all the bubbling steam vents and sulfurous streams that are dotting the valley. Now, had it not been for Toru Yano, we would not have had this cluster of information, this moment of general culture that you don't usually get watching pro wrestling. So I tip my hat to Toru Yano for his contribution to our general knowledge this evening.
You know, I'm always willing to learn, Warren, and God damn it if I didn't just learn something there. So I appreciate that. I tip my cap to Gato, because if you're going to book anybody against the 3 of Bushi, Takagi, and Naito, this is the lineup in America to do it.
Yeah.
Right? Liger, Robinson, Yano. It's 3 people. It's a legend. It's an American, and it's the greatest performer in comedy wrestling of all time, Toru Yano, coming out there against everybody's, cool kids on the bus, right? And so in that regard, Gato did his job for this match.
The crowd is absolutely nuts for Liger, but they are equally nuts for Naito. You could really, really sense that the crowd was there for both these guys. And Liger has a good first showing. Bushi is in with him early, rakes his eyes to get control of Liger, but Bushi eats a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker and then gets tossed into the Romero special. But the LIJ guys triple team Liger to break it up. And Liger is early on your babyface in peril here. You have Juice Robinson then that eventually comes in. He's very vocal tonight, John, wouldn't you say? Tell us about how vocal Juice Robinson was tonight.
Yeah, well, see, I will tell you, for the brief time that we saw Juice Robinson in this 8-minute match, he found himself in good positions to do some nice things. He got his punches off well. He connected strong. He sold very well, and he had a nice back and forth with the members of LIJ.
Especially with Tagaki, if you ask me.
Yeah, him and Shingo really had a nice showing back and forth, and that we'll see that kind of develop over the course between now and I think they're like match 5 or 6 on the B block. But it was a strong showing for all 6 members outside of maybe Bushi. I think he missed 1 or 2 spots. Juice in this instance, outside of the wardrobe, which again, fruit stripe gum, you can't not see it once you know it's there. I thought they all kind of came to play. I thought it was good pacing, and I thought it was a smart way of using the ref to get the finish with Yano picking up the schoolboy roll-up for the win.
Exactly. Juice, talking about Shingo and Juice going at it. Shingo avoids the pulp friction and hits the Noshigami on Juice, but Juice kicks out of it. we get a double hot tag here where Juice tags in Yano and Shingo tags Naito in. And early on, Yano just goes for the buckles. He doesn't want much to do with Naito. And it does end when Yano low blows Bushi, as he pushes Bushi into the ref and cradles Bushi for the win. It was a fun little match for what it was. Like you said, you timed it about 8 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was fine. But now let's get into the meat of the matter. Let's go right ahead and start talking about our A block matches. The first one that we got tonight. And honestly, I was excited for this one. And I was glad that I was excited for this one. Lance Archer defeated IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion Will Ospreay to score his first 2 points on the board. Archer charges Ospreay before the bell rings, but he eats a Spanish fly for his troubles before the bell. And a corkscrew drive off the top turnbuckle to the outside. Archer goes back in. And Ospreay hits a springboard 450, covers Archer, but Archer kicks out at 1. It's a hell of a start to this match, John.
It was unreal. For the people that have been waiting for G1, you can't really ask for a better start. I mean, the first 90 seconds of this really kind of set the tone for what we expect as fans out of the G1. Well, Ospreay coming out, boom, Spanish fly right off the bat, takes him outside, hits him with some crazy corkscrew crap, and credit the Axis production team for making sure to get that wide shot, right? Because you saw him fly to hit that corkscrew. Gets him back in the ring, boom, hits the 450, boom, 1 count. Okay, now we're ready to go.
Speaking about things that you didn't expect, Lance Archer choke slamming Ospreay through a table, like within the same 90 seconds to 2 minute time frame over the rail. I was not expecting that at all, especially not that early in the match. Archer works over Ospreay, grounds him. He hits a short arm lariat. He does the rope walk where he's sort of he goes around and he's like, no, I'm going to go over there. So he walks all the way over there.
I like that one better.
Yeah, I like that one as well. Hits a clubbing forearm to his back, but Ospreay fights back, hits the 619 pip cheerio. He hits a high kick on Archer, but Archer shoulder tackles him down. And I like this spot a lot. And I think even commentary pointed it out because the shoulder tackle came from Ospreay running the ropes, right? Mm-hmm. But instead of Archer running after him within the ropes, Archer sort of angled off to a corner and let Ospreay just do the back and forth thing. And he just came in diagonally and just creamed him. I really liked it. He hits a buckle bomb and a last ride and an apron bomb on Ospreay, a triumvirate of power bomb moves. We even got a muscle buster, John.
A big one too.
A big muscle buster. That was nuts. But even before that, we had Ospreay pulling out all of his big offense, the shooting star press, the Robinson special, the Os cutter. He even a second Os cutter can't keep your man Archer down. It's probably because he looks like a Mad Max Wasteland Raider now. That happens. This was a fantastic match. Ospreay even hits a top rope Spanish fly, still can't put Archer away, tries to go for the Stormbreaker. It's avoided with a series of kicks. It's avoided, but then, Ospreay comes back with a series of kicks, a hook kick, still can't put Archer away, who hits a super top rope blackout, gets the Iron Claw pin combo in, and that to me, John, is the only problem that I have with Lance Archer. Watch my language. It's the stupid Iron Claw. It was even dumb when the Von Erichs did it. It's still dumb today.
I loved it. I loved it because it was a callback to the Von Erichs, and it's a callback to a Dallas homeboy in Dallas, first G1, in the stateside, and they're throwing back the history, and I'm okay with that because New Japan does that a lot. Here's what I liked so much about this match. Number one, I'm sure Ospreay probably loved the fact that it was using American-made tables and not Japan. Because if that would have happened in Japan, he would still be on the ground right now. To your point about the aesthetic that Lance Archer came out you liken it to Mad Max, I liken it to the Warriors. The dude came out looking like a New Japan character for the first time in his career. 19 years in the business, he's always played that Texas kind of vibe, right? He's a strong boy, Texan, homebody. Mm-hmm. He came out this time, he shaved it. Again, didn't need much. You put a little red on the pants. You shave half your head off. You then dye your hair magenta, right? It doesn't take a lot to really kind of transform your character. And those little tweaks, right? That wrestling fashion just put him in a position to where he's no longer Lance Archer KES, right? Killer Elite Squad, because now Davey Boy's gone, right? So what are you going to do with Lance Archer? Because Lance Archer wants to be there, and you have a 6'10" guy who can fly around the ring and hold his own with Will Ospreay, right? As well as the power and just the work rate of Lance Archer. Well, you put him in, you give him the opportunity to have a little bit of a singles run here, right? Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know how much this could lead to what? U.S. title. This could lead to Open Championship. This could just be a good showing for the next month. Either way, you brought viability to a guy that everybody thought going into this G1 was just a guy. It was just going to get jobbed out. And now, after beating Ospreay in 18 minutes and holding his own for that entire pace, mm-hmm. You have now set up an opportunity to build around this guy for the next month, and now there are no guarantees when it comes to Lance Archer versus anybody in that block.
And I like it. I like the idea that they threw in some unpredictability here because, there are a lot of people who were, who completely wrote him off, but I didn't. I picked him. You picked him too.
I did.
He was our prediction. And it makes sense. It makes sense to add just to have a little monkey wrench here, right? Mm-hmm. Ospreay's going to have, regardless of what happens, he's going to have a great G1. He's going to shine. He's going to look good. Does he need to have a huge winning record? I don't think so. I think his showing in the Best of Super Juniors was fantastic. I don't think he needs the G1 to be built. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this should really be I know there's a lot of hype around Ospreay, but this really should be this isn't going to be the Ospreay tournament, right? No. There's a lot of people involved, but I will tell you this, Warren.
Tell me this.
This goes back to what New Japan does. 50-50 booking. We're not big fans on here, right? That's Ospreay got it against Archer in the New Japan Cup. We've seen a little tweak in how Archer comes out, and now he gets his win back. Right? You put him in the open weight, you put Will back in the open weight. Now you have a program you can build around with two guys that have proven that they can go out there and have stellar matches with one another. And maybe, just maybe, you can begin to build the open weight into something worth talking about again.
I think it's important to point out that Lance Archer and Will Ospreay have really good chemistry in the ring.
So good.
I think that might be an advantage for Archer to play off of Ospreay like that. Because they work fantastically well together. Give me more of those two dudes. I'm completely okay with it. And if you're watching live right now, again, consider giving us a thumbs up. Tweet out the link. Send it out into your social media. That stuff always helps. It will also help us get through Bad Luck Fale defeating Evil. Oh boy! Ooh. What has happened to our Bad Luck Fale, the Bullet Club OG, man? What's happened to him, John?
Well, he's put on about 20-25 pounds.
That's not an excuse.
Well, what if you saw him 50 pounds heavier in 2018? I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Bad Luck. He was over just to put on a show. I can't explain this match. I liked it overall. I like super hefty weight matches. I like guys that go out there and they bang around a little bit. They try to lift the heavier of the two strong dudes going out there with a little bit of power. But man, it just seemed like of all the performances all night from everybody, including Evil, which we'll talk about in a bit with regard to his storyline, it just seemed like Bad Luck kind of phoned it in a little bit. Like he wasn't in shape, or he had jet lag, or he stayed up too late the night before, or whatever the case may be. He didn't seem as crisp. He didn't do anything that resonated with me to say, hey, he's here to perform. And I think it showed to not only us, but the crowd as well.
I can get that you have to that as a heel, your job is to slow things down. Your job is to bring the level of action in the ring down. So when the babyface mounts his or her comeback, well, then the audience gets more naturally excited. I get that, but man, there is a difference between slowing it down and just bringing it to a crawl. Although I like the way this started with Evil going right after Foley before the bell, drags him up the ramp, runs him down with a lariat. He tries to slam Foley, but instead Foley delivers one of his own. There's some strikes on the outside, but that was it. Like I thought that as far as being dragged out onto the ramp, I really thought that we were going to get something a little more. A little more, dare I say, hardcore, or at least some brawling from both of these guys on the outside. Evil tries to body slam Fale a couple of times in the ring without success, but eventually he does. He hits a Bronco Buster. There's some shoulder tackles, some sentons. Fale tries to use the chair, but the ref holds onto the chair. And that sort of distracts Fale long enough for Evil to kick it in his face, which I thought was pretty creative. Fale avoids everything as Evil and gets a grenade in on Evil and covers him, who kicks out at 2.9. Evil does his ref holding leg spot, but he lariats Fale, but also accidentally takes out the ref. And then there's chairs. There's chairs all over the place. Evil goes for his baseball swing thing, but it doesn't happen. And Fale does it instead. The ref comes back in as Fale hits the bad luck fall, and it's 2 points for Fale. Too gimmicky for my taste. Too much focus on the chairs, where I think both of these guys would have just been better off slugging it out. Just like you said, two hosses just slapping each other across up and down the ring. I think that would have been much better served than all the shenanigans with the chairs, really.
Yeah, lots of variability tonight with the different types of matches. So I was okay with them bringing some weapons in because I thought it added a little intrigue into something different than what we saw before and what we saw after. But two chairs? Like you need two chairs and you're not going to use one of them? Like, and well, the one that you use, you're going to hit the other? I don't.
Like I get why, because it's Evil to introduce the chairs, and I get why he does it because that's part of his shtick. He does the baseball swing thing, so I understood why he pulled them out. But I don't know. Look, it boils down to a question of taste at this point, But look, Evil gets his first loss of the evening here, of the tournament. How do you feel he's going to fare throughout all of this, John?
He is going to get jobbed out. I don't have him winning any more than 2 matches, 4 points. It's going to be one of the lower end for Evil, and I think he needs it for his character. He was one of the most popular, still is. All of LIJ really is, but he's one of the more popular wrestlers in New Japan right now. Ever since Zack Sabre Jr. back last year when he went for the IC title before Jericho got involved, there was a lot of hype around him, and he's kind of cooled off a lot since. Yes, he won the tag team championship, but again, weaker division, same opponents, 50-50 booking through that, switching the titles back and forth. And now where Sonata's kind of, since the New Japan Cup, he's going to start moving up. What do you do with Evil? So they made reference to it tonight that he's looking for new partners. Mm-hmm. He's doing some of these cheap heelish, but again, like it's okay because it's New Japan, but he's doing some of these different spots that you don't typically see him doing. I'll tell you, I don't think that he's going to be the one leaving LIJ, and we can save that for a little bit. I think ultimately he needs this month to kind of keep going the way it's trending. And then from there, we can get a nice flip of the script, a nice turn between him and Sonata, and then we can begin to build Evil again. I think he needs something like that. There's too much going on the single side for him to be anywhere near the conversation in any belt conversation. But from now through the rest of the month, he's going to be the guy that's getting jobbed out for sure.
Nick Wolf sent us a super chat. He says, bang around. Fale bangs around with Blue Chew. So there you go. Thank you very much, Nick Wolf, for that. Let's see. Let's keep on the LIJ train here. Sonata defeated Rev Pro British heavyweight champion Zack Sabre Jr. in a super fun match. I really dug this. This is probably my second favorite match of the evening. Look, I always preface whenever I talk about Zack Sabre Jr. matches, I always preface this. I don't understand half of what Zack does. I honestly don't. I talk about counters, holds, moves. Probably if Sean were here, ostensibly, he could probably guide you through it a little more. But oh boy, I just want to make sure that we clarify this. But it doesn't mean I don't appreciate what he does. And early on, I appreciate that Junior gets Sonata in holds early on, gets him done for some joint manipulation. Sonata tries to counter out, but Junior is one step ahead of him until Sonata flips out of a type of a surfboard move, and he just backs away from Junior. And that it was a hell of an initial sequence. And then there's another sequence where they try to roll each other up. And another bit sub story here to the entire story of the match is Sonata trying to get Zack Sabre Jr. in a paradise lock, but Junior's like, screw you, man, you're not getting me in this. This is baby stuff, I liked at some point, and this is where Sabre's character work is so good. Sonata asks him for a test of strength. He goes, and so they lock in, they do a knuckle lock, but Junior just boots his way out of it, and he sort of rolls his eyes like, I'm above this shit. Excuse me. He says, I'm above all of this. Junior is the penultimate jerk. He's I think Kevin Kelly called him the petulant child. He's fantastic. Not only is his technical skills bar none, but his character work, John, is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and he's a ring general. I don't want to throw that word around a lot because I want to save it toward the end, but just the spot where Sonata gets him outside, jumps over the rope, and it looked like he was about to run and do like flying knee, somersault, whatever. Zack Sabre Jr. just keeps walking around the corner. Like, I know what you're about to do, and I'm not going to sit here and I'm going to take it. And he's referenced that in promos in the past, where if you see a guy setting up for a big jump, you move.
You just move.
Just move. And he plays that so well every match. I personally enjoy Zack Sabre Jr. People don't like him as much as I do because they're not big fans of that sequential wrestling style. One thing leading into another, leading into a counter, leading into another, and the way they play back and forth. These two together, I was a big fan of Gresham and Zack in Ring of Honor, but these two just blew that match out of the park, and they did it in twice as much time. 21-minute match of mat wrestling. Are you kidding me? Including the ending sequence, which I'll let you go over, but unbelievable work rate from these two. The amount of IQ that you need to be able to pull off these types of counters and these types of moves and keep it as fluid as they did was just absolutely outstanding. What else can be said? It was art. It was an art form, and it was a joy to watch.
Junior gets in control of Sonata with a straitjacket. This was a nice sequence here. He gets a nice straitjacket on Sonata, and Sonata reverses it into a straitjacket of his own, and then Junior reverses it into a straitjacket of his own, and then eventually Sonata gets back into the straitjacket, and Junior just sort of wriggles out of it, which I thought was kind of like when you wriggle out of a pair of skinny jeans, right, John?
I wriggle out of traditional fit. I don't need skinny jeans to do
that. I'm sure Zack Sabre Jr. wears skinny jeans. He looks like the type who does it. Totally. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with wearing skinny jeans. When I say that, it's the type, and don't misconstrue me. Eventually Sonata does tie Junior up in the paradise lock using the ropes, and of course does the drop kick afterwards. But Zack Sabre Jr., man, throughout this entire match, he's locking on holds.
Sonata is doing is he's able to counter out, but Junior always has the answer. And you can feel that Sonata is always like trying his best to keep up. And he's having a hell of a time trying to do it. After hitting a swinging skull end, Sonata goes for the moonsault, but Junior catches him into a triangle. Sonata fights out of it and hits a moonsault into the skull end, which was really cool. And then there's that fantastic series of pinning combinations at the very end that led to Sonata getting the victory. I loved the story they told here, which was essentially that Junior maintained the pace this entire match. It was the Zack Sabre Jr. show. Sonata was part of it. He just did his damn best to counter out of the moves, showing that he can wrangle with him. But Sabre was always like one step ahead. And the way the match ended, you know, you kind of I don't know how you feel about it, John, but the match, the way the match ended was just like, well, Sonata got lucky tonight. He was just the better man.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Anytime you watch a Zack Sabre Jr. match, especially in New Japan Pro Wrestling, he is suffocating. No matter what you do, he's always going to have an answer for it. He's always going to figure out a way to be on your back or on your front with your head around his arm. Like that's his style in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and he wins so often. Like you expect through professional storytelling and match layout for it to be he's going to counter, he's going to counter, he's going to counter, he's going to catch you along the way, and then eventually he's not going to catch you, and you're going to be able to hit your finisher, and you're going to be able to win. Every single time over the course of this year, Zack Sabre Jr. has suffocated you, and then figured out a way to put you in a position to submit to his finisher, which I can never say. This time, Sonata, crafty enough to figure out a way to get the W himself, and he did it off the O'Connor bridge. Hey, that just good wrestling.
I think that 2019 is Sonata's year. I've told you this before, and I still believe it. I think at the bare minimum, he's going to end up IC champ at some point. Go ahead.
I'd like to see him leave LIJ. I think LIJ.
Really?
Yes, I think Shingo is in a good position to pick up as the new tag team partner or to work the single side for a while. 38 years old. He's not going to be around for a long time, but you have enough in LIJ, especially if Takahashi comes back, to keep LIJ moving in the right direction. You let Sonata turn, and I don't care if it's good versus bad or just faction versus faction. He could go to Chaos and be a fan favorite for all I care, and get tutelage from Okada and Tanahashi and all that. I don't care how they do it, but for him to get a jump, because everybody loves Sonata right now, right? And you can really have like a Rock Survivor Series moment where he finally climbs the mountain and gets to that single title, that Intercontinental Championship, and then boom, he flips. And when he does, the heat that's going to be on him is going to be there. And from there, his trajectory will just take off. So I'd really like to see him leave at some point. And he's just got so much potential to be one of the top guys.
After his match, Zack Sabre Jr. in his post-match comments said that putting on a technical wrestling performance for Americans is kind of like reading Shakespeare to a dog. God, I love that guy.
He's the best.
He is, not taking anything away from MJF, who's a fantastic heel in his own right, but there's just a snide intellectualism, elitism to what Sabre does that makes him all the more infuriating.
MJF is pompous and arrogant. Zack Sabre Jr. is British, and British always comes across just the worst when they're talking about Americans. It's just how it is.
Shout out to all our British viewers right now.
It's a compliment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kenta, in his first match in New Japan, defeated Kota Ibushi. There is a great striking sequence at first between both of these guys that ends with Kenta taking Ibushi down to the mat. Ibushi gets himself back up. They're in the ropes, and Kenta gives him a slap across the face. But Ibushi gives him one of those, oh no, Ibushi's about to lose, it looks, and lands him a blistering slap of his own. Says, you're gonna miss a tooth when I'm done with you, Kenta. Kenta rope hangs Ibushi on the ropes. That's where you rope hang someone, and he hits a second rope knee drop to where, John? To the back of Ibushi's neck, right?
Just nonstop there.
Right.
Just one time.
Kenta, that's just one time during the match. Kenta gets some strike-ins and some good old-fashioned Kenta kicks. Like, honestly, early on in the match, the way that they were laying into each other, you sort of remembered. I was like, oh, okay, this is not Hideo Itami that we're dealing with right now. Oh boy, the man is back. And he dropped some knees to the backs of Ibushi's head. And the crowd, again, super into this, but was really split, John, between Kenta and Ibushi. The cheers were, if I coming across on TV, it was really 50-50.
Yeah, I mean, 13 years since Kenta's been in New Japan, right? We know about what the last 5 years for him has been, and then just his absolute destruction of Noah when he was there. So have him back in Japan, technically, in Japan and Dallas, and his first match back in New Japan Pro Wrestling. I'm really excited because I looked at this as like, how are they going to portray Kenta? Are we going to get a new Kenta? Has he learned something? Is it going to be Noah? What are we going to get? And the fact that he went out there and he was just the exact same person that he was 5 years ago when he left Noah, and it was a reintroduction to who Kenta is as a wrestler. I hope it evolves over time because, I've seen that side of it. But considering it's his first night back in this promotion, and he's going up against the Golden Star Kota Ibushi, who everybody seems to have winning this block, man, did he show up. He was hitting hard, high kicks to the back of the neck. He was doing spots on outside double knees or double foot stomps to the outside. He left nothing out there, and he went full bore the entire way, including the go to sleep at the end. Wow. Could you talk about just coming in full guns blazing and hitting expectation? Kenta did that tonight.
Let's talk about what he did. Ibushi goes for a pescado, but it's countered by a knee from Kenta on the floor. Then Kenta drapes Ibushi over the barricade and does the double stomp off the apron on, you guessed it, John, Ibushi's neck again. Kenta gets him back into the ring, hits a hesitation dropkick in the corner, hits a coup de grace, and Kenta he didn't give a crap about protecting Ibushi on that double stomp off the top rope. He just landed on his face. Yep.
Pegged him.
He pegged him. Exactly. There's a hell of a striking sequence where Kenta hits a high kick. Ends with him hitting a high kick, and he just keeps delivering kick after kick to Ibushi's neck.
Yep.
And he hits the go to sleep to end it. And I mean, look, I think that if you're a rational wrestling fan, if those exist, that's a misnomer right there. If you think about it logically, you could not have Kenta lose his first match back, especially in the context of the G1. But this is what surprised me, John. It's how dominant he was over Kota Ibushi, who is a fantastic striker in his own right. I mean, these guys laid into each other, but when I say these guys, I mostly mean Kenta. Ibushi was barely able to get anything in.
Yeah, I think that's the important part, because what Kota did get in, he laid in there, and he received it just as much as he was giving it. But yeah, he didn't get a lot. This was the Kenta show. I'm going to be interested to see if this continues as he moves through. Is it just his first night back? So we're going to give him all the spots and we're going to let him go, and Ibushi just hold back all your offense. But man, every time I would turn around and look back, it was another hard strike coming in. It's probably somewhere in the vicinity of the upper chest, the head region of Ibushi, and it was just so much fun to watch, because again, this is the Kenta we know. This is the one that we thought WWE was getting, and see him come back, and it looks like he's lost nothing in 5 years. You know, his
Even
injuries are done, stronger.
You know, he doesn't look as soft as he was either. You know, like body type. You know, he seems a little leaner. He seems a little more put together because there's a bunch of reasons why Kenta didn't work in WWE, and it's not, a lot of people was, he was nerfed. Yes, to a certain extent, that one time he pulls out that one time that he premieres on 205 Live and he pulls out the GTS and he breaks Brian Kendrick's eye socket. Like, yeah, you know what? You're not gonna use that move for a while there, friend. He's been injured. I mean, that's well documented. His injuries have kept him, from getting the proper push. There's a lot of stories about his attitude backstage as well. I think there's a combination of things that made WWE ended up disappointed with what they thought they were getting and what they received. Like that Amazon, what you order online once you get it meme. But I mean, he's back in his element, back in an environment where he can go strong style, where he doesn't have to hold back on his kicks. I think he was motivated. He looked motivated. He looked good. And he just beat the hell out of Kota Ibushi. John, where does the Golden Boy go from this point on? The Golden Boy being Kota Ibushi.
Oh yeah, now he's gonna go up. I mean, he might lose 2 matches, and this is one of them, right? Like he's definitely ending in the double digits. The fact that he signed a contract, even if it's just for 1 year, and we don't really know what the contract is, but the fact that he signed and he showed commitment to New Japan Pro Wrestling when he didn't have to. Mm-hmm. They're going to push him pretty hard in this. Now, what does that mean? I'm not entirely sure. I like him for about 12 points is where I have him. It's very high side, top third. He'll lose. He lost to Kenta, which makes sense. And he can afford to lose to Kenta, right?
Yeah.
Like there's nothing wrong with the guy's coming back after 5 years of not being in Japan. Yeah, it's okay to take the loss. And then from there, he gets wins against Tanahashi. Maybe gets a draw against Okada. Okay, he's back on the winning streak, and we move forward from here. Nobody's going to remember the fact that he lost to Kenta. You're just going to remember that Kenta won. The way he did it was a little interesting because he he owned that match for 20 minutes, beating up on Ibushi. But expect Ibushi to be in the conversation as the block winner or the favorite for the block. I don't see it personally, but he'll definitely be there causing some havoc on the last night.
Yeah, I don't. There's, like you said, there's a lot of people that have signed up to the Ibushi train, saying that this is his, but it's not.
It's not. No.
It's not. Oh boy! And here we're at the main event, and was Dallas ready for this one? Holy crap! IWGP Heavyweight Champion Kazuchika Okada defeated Hiroshi Tanahashi in an electric match. I think that's the only definition. That's the appropriate word here. Everything that they did resonated with the entire audience. This was something special. This is something that I was like, man, I would have really liked to been there.
Mm. I'm gonna get torched for this, but it was Rock Hogan. Like that. To me, it had that feel, right? And I thought it came across well. From the crowd. The crowd seemed to know the importance of these two going against each other, especially in the G1. But you talk the 7-year history. What really brought New Japan to where it is now is these two and the matches that they've been able to put on in and out of Wrestle Kingdoms, the G1s, them winning the blocks against each other and to go. Like, there is no better rivalry in wrestling today than Okada versus Tanahashi anywhere, let alone in the G1, let alone opening night in America. Like
Kevin Kelly, even he said it was like the Celtics and the Lakers.
They actually did a fantastic job. I mean, we always know Kevin Kelly does a fantastic job, but to even just kind of bring people into the knowledge of how big of a match, the magnitude of this type of match is, with very little words. I speak a lot. They don't speak at all, and they're going to be able to sell it better than I ever can. The fact of the matter is that it had all the classic the whole match had all the classic things that you hope to see from Okada versus Tanahashi. The fact that for 7 years they've learned how to beat one another and counter each other the next match, right? They don't learn it. They lose in the first match. They learn from it, and then the next match it won't happen again, or they'll have a counter ready for it. The fact that they isolate body parts, and sometimes it's the shoulder, and sometimes it's the knee, and sometimes it's the arm, and it's the fingers, and it's the hands. Today, it was Okada's right knee. Right. And that's where we're going to focus our entire show is on Okada's right knee, because that's never been done before. And we've worked 15 ligaments, and this is the one that we're going to work tonight. and it's a callback to what they've been doing for the last 7 years, except now they're 7 years smarter than they were. And so you just get this evenly paced. It picks up right at the 8-minute mark, and it builds from there. You don't know where it's going to go. They have these teasing spots, but it's never back to back. Right? Like there's always a build to the high fly flow outside, right? And then they bring him back in and boom, Rainmaker. And then Rainmaker again. But it's not the spinning Rainmaker. It's not the one that they load up and then hit. Nope. But we're going to hold his wrist. And then we're going to let Tanahashi come back. I'm going to let you walk through because you're a hell of a lot better than that than I am. But from a storytelling element, these are the nuances of these types of matches that they've been putting on for 7 years that they executed to perfection tonight. And I was absolutely thrilled with it.
I'm actually wondering, you were talking about, okay, this is the limit, we're going to work Okada's knee tonight because we haven't worked it in the past 15 matches that we've had. You think Geto has
yes,
a
chart?
He has a chart, an anatomy, he has a full body picture of Okada, full body picture of Tanahashi, and he scratches one off when they use it.
And dates it, and they both sign it, so they both understand.
Everyone signs it off. It's yeah, we can't use it again.
Right. Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
There you go. That's some insider stuff right there, folks. They go strong style on each other after some feeling out. They avoid a whole bunch of signature offense that leads to a stalemate. But the crowd, man, is eating it up. WWE wishes they could get that kind of energy off of two guys not being able to land their offense on each other. Tanahashi gets in control until he goes up top and eats a dropkick from Okada that sends him to the floor, and he DDTs Tana on the floor. They get back in the ring, and there's a fun little moment with Red Shoes, who wouldn't count when Okada did a very arrogant cover, just put his foot, and he goes like this, and he starts mocking. The Rainmaker. I thought it was a fun move, and it was also a callback earlier in the evening, right? I think it was Fale who did an arrogant pin. I think it was on Evil, yeah, and then the referee. It wasn't Red Shoes, but the referee wouldn't count it. So at least there's some modicum of consistency amongst New Japan refs.
Very good refs.
A modicum of consistency. They're consistent in their inconsistencies. If you ask me. Tanahashi hits a nice somersault senton off the second rope. Okada fights back and hits another DDT. Tana tries to get one on top of him, but he eats a flapjack instead. And at this stage, John, I'm thinking to myself, they're working a very methodical pace. I'm thinking they're going for the 30-minute. You would call the draw on this one on your predictions, and I was thinking, man, John is right. Look at how they're building so slowly. They're definitely going for the 30-minute draw here.
Well, they've always drawn. That's the thing. Like, this is their fourth time meeting the G1. And this is the only one that didn't end in a draw. So the last 3 times they met, 30 minutes to distance every single time, and it's always been for a block win. Again, I thought they were going to go that way because why not? Because who wouldn't want to see a Tanahashi Okada draw? Happy with the way it did end. It'll let you get to that. But Kevin Kelly, again, strong performance tonight, reminding people or educating people in the fact that, in the history of the G1 that these guys have been a part of, they're a half a point on average away from each other each G1, as well as they've gone the distance in their own matches 3 separate times. So hats off to them for that big fight feel from these two. The way, and again, other promotions can do this, but not to this level of consistency. Because again, you're talking 7 years with the same 2 guys, but they know exactly when to stop and pause and let the crowd have the moment.
Mhm.
and they know where to look, and then the cameras know then who to shoot in on. And that first 4 minutes where they were countering back and forth and then stalemating, and they just let it breathe, right? And you talk about the timing in professional wrestling. It does not get any better than Okada Tanahashi in the first 5 or 6 minutes, because they understand the gravity of that type of match, and they hit it on all cylinders.
Well, I mean, these are two guys who have carried the company in their own right. Tanahashi carried New Japan during some of its darkest years.
Mm-hmm.
Okada is directly responsible for its renaissance as well. I mean, you couldn't expect anything less from two legends, what are we talking about? Like pillars of Japanese wrestling at this point here.
Goats, man.
For sure. Okada at some point hits a dragon screw leg whip on Tanahashi, but Tanahashi says, yeah, I'll show you how it's done, boy. And he just went to town on his knee with some leg whips, some inverted dragon screw leg whips as well. Good call on Kevin Kelly calling back to the damage that Tanahashi did to Minoru Suzuki last year in the G1. I thought that was a neat callback. There at some point, Okada does the Rainmaker pose. Tana rolls him up and hits an inverted dragon screw leg whip right there. Tana's game plan is clear here. Okada has to go to the outside to take a breather, and that's where Tanahashi hits the high fly flow from the top rope to the floor. And I can't stress enough, folks, that this is not good on his body regardless. And he is a man that doesn't need to do it. If he's doing it out of passion and love of what he's doing. By God. He hits, we get back into the ring. Nice little sequence here that I thought was a lot of fun. Tanahashi hits a twist and shout, but Okada counters back with a shotgun drop kick. Tana comes back with a sling blade. Okada hits a drop kick and a tombstone. It was a fantastic, quick sequence from both guys.
Yeah, classic. It just hits like that. You want to talk about what they're known for, right? Their signature moves, back to back to back to back to back to back to back. Super fluid. Both of them, just fantastic work there.
There's a dragon suplex bridge that Tanahashi hits on Okada. Tana avoids a couple of rainmakers by slugging Okada down to his knees, but Okada brings it all to an end, hitting the spinning tombstone and a proper rainmaker, because there were a couple, like you said, a couple of phonies, the non-spinning short arm lariats, let's call them that. And that's that. Okada gets his first 2 points on the board, and we've gushed on the match. What does Okada getting 2 points here and Tanahashi getting 0 straight off the bat? How does that change the perception that we might have of the G1 going forward, or at least an A block?
Well, it takes Tanahashi out of the conversation for winning, right? In my opinion. The narrative coming into this was whether it's going to be Ibushi or it's going to be Okada or it's going to be Tanahashi. Looking at that first match, knowing that they're going to run that one right, that's why I thought it was going to be a draw. It made sense for me to think it was going to be a draw. That way they kind of keep it. Well, now, Tanahashi now needs to not only equal Okada the rest of the way, but then he's also got to outpace him by one match, right? Or one draw. And that's a tall order from a guy that literally has had the redemption story and the build back up to the Rainmaker all of 2019 and is on fire right now. So I don't see how he's going to be able to beat him on points. And now he doesn't even have the tiebreaker anymore over top of him. It's a tough spot for him to be in. It, to me, really brings it down to now it's Ibushi and Okada in the A block moving forward. Tanahashi's going to have a great performance. He's probably going to get 12 points, right? He might get 14 points, but he's not going to get the tiebreaker over Okada, which means he's effectively now out of the Block A, in my opinion.
This was a fun show. It was really, really, really a fun show. Even, I sort of sighed and groaned at Bad Luck Fale versus Evil, but it wasn't even that bad. It's just in comparison to everything, which was really, really great. This is one of these shows, folks, that you do have to go out of your way
to take a look. Sign up to New Japan World. It's worth it just to watch this. Enjoy the G1. If this is the first time you're getting into the G1, like John said earlier on, this is the best time of year to do it. And since we probably won't have the opportunity, or I'm just assuming that we won't have the opportunity to talk about the G1, or at least prediction-wise here on Fightful, John. I personally I think this is Naito's year. I think he's going to win B Block, and I think he's going all the way. I think he's going to end up in the Wrestle Kingdom main event. Who's going to win A Block then, in your opinion?
In my opinion, it's Okada. I think Okada sticks. I think.
So you think that the finals of the G1 will probably basically be the Wrestle Kingdom main event?
You want me to walk you through it?
Sure.
Okay. I have Okada coming out of Block A. I have Jay White coming out of Block B. I think we get that story one more time. I think in that instance, Okada wins. And when now Okada, for the first time ever in the history of the G1, gets to choose his challenger at Wrestle Kingdom, in which case now he goes after Naito. And that 4 or 5 year story arc that leads back when Naito first won his first briefcase, we can bring finality to that overall.
Oh, that's interesting. Mm-hmm. That's interesting. It's funny. I don't see Jay White winning. I don't think they're going to go back to that source. But hey, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. John, I want to thank you very much for joining us here this evening. Why don't you let the good folks know where they can find you, your podcast, social media, all that good stuff.
Yeah. First, Warren, thank you for the invite on coming on, and thank you, Fightful, for allowing me to come on. Been a fan for a long time. I am a Patreon member. I have my shirt and everything. By the way, if you are going to become a Patreon member and you stick around to get that shirt, just know any size, any color, any logo is yours. So in that instance, there is customizable options if you make it to the 6-month mark at whatever tier that is. So thank you for allowing me to come on. There's a plug for it. You can find me on Twitter at Big Paws on a Pup, as well as at NPA Podcast, where I just kind of goof around and write things about wrestling. At the same time, every Wednesday, I drop a new episode of No Particular Angle. It's a show about nothing.
It's Seinfeld.
Yeah, but we'll talk about anything. We'll pick one promotion, one storyline, something about wrestling, and we'll focus the show around that. Different promotions, Stardom being one of the big ones for me. NJPW, WWE from time to time, Shimmer, Rise, interviews with different women wrestlers come on all the time. My focus is I want to try to educate, entertain on all aspects of wrestling, not just one thing, thus No Particular Angle.
Well, there you go. And so you should go check it out. It's a fun show. And John he's a good guy. He knows his stuff. You will be entertained and educated. As for why hanging out with Warren Hayes, well, you might get a rash. So you can follow me on youtube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes or on Twitter at Mr. Warren Hayes. But I want to thank everyone for joining us live here this evening and watching, listening to our recap. Support Fightful. Head on over to Fightful Select and become a member. You can get the color T-shirt you want, like John said, and a bunch of other stuff. It's a lot of fun. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We'll see you next time.